Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I said that, but I will touch on that towards the end of the video and give a little bit of an update on the channel and where I'm going to be going in the future with this. But in the meantime, I want to introduce a new thing that I'm doing, a weekly podcast style show called Let's Talk About It, where I talk about the Bengals and other NFL news and storylines throughout the week, but primarily focusing on the Bengals for Bengals fans like myself. So with that being said, this week, Bengals blow another game with the 49ers. Zach Taylor takes it out of Joe Burrow's hands. Darius Phillips can't catch the ball. AFC North is crazy. Lamar Jackson goes down. Let's talk about it. So, Bengals versus 49ers. Let's start there. 4:30, Paul Brown Stadium. I was a little bit disappointed by the crowd. That's the first thing I'll get to. Obviously, I don't think the Bengals are there yet, or they're going to sell out every game, but there was a decent amount of empty seats, especially if you look, into the upper rows of the stadium. For a game, I mean, that's every game to this point for the Bengals is a big game. It's from this point on, every game is pretty much a playoff game. So I was a little bit disappointed to see some empty seats in the stadium, but that doesn't really matter. Let's get on to the game. So it was another slow start for the Bengals, which, just like against the Chargers, went on to kill them. The Bengals were down 17-6 at halftime, just couldn't get any offense going in the first half. They just couldn't figure out. They were trying to pound the ball, establish the run like I have most of the season, but it just wasn't working. And really, the whole time, the answer was attacking their DBs, which was a very much weakened unit. And as we saw late in the game, that's what it ended up taking, but it was too little too late. So they were playing a lot of players in the box, trying to stop the run. They were kind of trying to protect their corners outside. But the Bengals weren't really taking any shots outside in the beginning of the game. And that's kind of what got them in the hole. Around like the fourth quarter or so, they finally started to exploit them. And that's when we saw the Bengals finally get back in the game. Jamar Chase made some big plays. D. Higgins made some big plays. Burrow ended up with one of his best games of the season, which makes it all the more inexplicable that Zach Taylor took the ball out of his hands in overtime when he could have just went on to win the game, but instead calling conservatively and settling for a field goal, and we all know what happened after that. So in overtime, the Bengals get the ball first, win the toss, driving down the field, a few big pass plays. So they get the ball, I think, like the 26-yard line, and then run, sack, settle for a field goal. I get, you want to run it on first down. You get 4 yards on first down. All right, cool. That's perfect. But that's the perfect time. You're at like the 22-yard line. Take a shot. I mean, you want to win the game. There's no reason to call it conservatively, especially when you look at, you've been trailing this whole game. You want to just get out of there, score, and get out of that game. But run the ball again, setting up 3rd and 5. And Burrow gets sacked, which has been another problem with the offense this season. A lot of it has been on the offensive line, but I think we need to stop, just putting it all on the offensive line and start looking at Joe Burrow a little bit. If you look at the all-22 from that play, you can see that he had guys open, but a theme that we've seen from Burrow this year a lot of the time is just holding on to the ball for too long. And he's not as athletic as he used to be before the injury, so he's not as good as evading rushers until somebody gets as open as he feels they need to be for him to finally get the ball out of his hands. So that's something that he's going to need to improve on, which I think he will. I mean, that's probably something more during the offseason you get to work on, but he's still a young player, just like Jamar Chase. Obviously, the drops have become an issue with Jamar Chase in the last couple of games, but we also still see how explosive he can really be. So just like the pocket presence and awareness of Burrow, the drops with Chase, that'll all work itself out. Both, they're both going to be fine. But in the here and now, a couple big issues with the Bengals offense. There is the offensive line, obviously, which is the most glaring concern, but it's something that I believe they'll fix in the offseason. Again, it's just hard to do a complete overhaul and complete, fix in just one offseason like last year. And then 2, the Bengals offense is really, the Bengals offense can be really good and really fun to watch, but it really doesn't get that way unless they're balanced. The Bengals are undefeated this season when Joe Mixon runs for over 100 yards and have won 5 games in a row dating back to 2019 when he runs for over 100 yards. When they can get him going and the offense is balanced, the offense is almost unstoppable. So that's going to be the biggest key. But at the same time, not forcing the run either, though. Like, Joe Mixon at 18 carries, I think 58 yards in this game. And they were just forcing it, especially at the end. Like, when they're in the box, they're playing the run, you have to take these shots. I mean, you have the guys on the outside that can make plays down the field. So a lot of people have been really hot, been really pissed off at Zach Taylor this week with some of the play calling, even, trying to get him out the door. I say chill out with that some more. Obviously, I still think Zach Taylor is the guy. Still a young coach, still a young play caller. It's going to come with time. This team is already exceeding expectations this year, but it's going to just more come down to closing out these games. And that's something that with a young team and a young coach, it's going to take time. But I think it's something that once they start closing out these games, this team is going to be really, really good. With that being said, coming up next week, Bengals versus Broncos. Broncos came off the back of a huge emotional win. Was against the Lions, very bad team, but they look decent. Teddy Bridgewater has been very much up and down this season, and that game is going to be in Denver. So it's going to be another tough game for the Bengals. A game that obviously I think they can win. Right now, I want to say Denver is favored by like 1.5. So, on a neutral field, I guess that would technically favor Cincinnati. But the Bengals have actually been better on the road this year than they've been at home, which has been interesting. I think they're 3-4 at home and 4-2 on the road. So I don't really read into the home game, away game too much, just with how good they've been on the road. But it's going to be another tough matchup, setting up for a huge matchup the next week against the Baltimore Ravens, who now, depending on how Lamar Jackson is, interesting to see. The Ravens are first place in the AFC North right now, but with Lamar Jackson, if he's out for the rest of the season, which I haven't heard anything yet, but the injury definitely did not look good in the last game, that could shake things up in a huge, huge way in the AFC North, which is already the wildest division in the NFL right now. Browns went on to beat the Ravens last week after Lamar went down. So the Browns are 7-6, Bengals 7-6, Ravens 8-5, Steelers 6-1. So that division is still 4 weeks left in the season. That division is still completely up for grabs. So it's really going to come down to the wire. It's going to be crazy to see what happens there. Quick look around the rest of the NFL. Monday night, Rams versus Cardinals. Sorry about that. Fun game to watch. Matt Stafford looked like he was back in his early season form. Cooper Kupp, what a season. A ridiculous season that he's having. I think 13 receptions, 123 yards. It's almost the sole reason why I lost in fantasy this week. So that was annoying. But Odell Beckham, 3 touchdowns in 3 games with the Rams. I wonder what excuses the Browns fans and Baker Mayfield are making now. But that's a topic for a different day. Jacksonville Jaguars. Ugh, is there any worse place to be as a fan or as a player than Jacksonville right now? Jesus Christ, that's one of the ugliest things I've seen in a while. How Urban Meyer is even still hanging around over there is kind of crazy to me. If he is still there by next season, then GM and the owner got some serious questions to answer there, because they've completely quit on him over there. And once the team quits on the coach, it's over with. I don't think they ever really respected him in the first place. So it's gone from funny to just flat out hard to watch over in Jacksonville. Buccaneers, Tom Brady is inevitable. Bills came all the way back, but Tom Brady shuts the door at the end in overtime. I still think they're still my favorite to repeat. The Chiefs are coming on late in this season. The Patriots are looking good, but I still think Buccaneers, just too many weapons, man. Too many veterans, too many just seasoned players over there. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with them. But with that being said, that is the inaugural episode of Let's Talk About It done. And thank you all for tuning in. Yo, thank y'all so much for tuning in to episode 1 of my new weekly style show. Let's talk about it. Let me know what y'all thought in the comments below about it. So, a quick little update about the channel. Obviously, it has been a very long time since I've been on it. Have not uploaded a video since late August, early September. So I was in school over at LSU in college the last 4 months. Been very busy. I do sports. I'm a sports reporter for the student newspaper over there. So I'm very busy with that, very busy with school. So this just got kind of pushed to the back burner. Never really got to do much of it, but I'm on break now. I've got my creative juices back flowing again. So I want to get back into the channel, starting with this show. Maybe at least I plan on doing some more of my old type style videos too on top of it. Don't really have a schedule for when I'm going to do those, so they might just come as I get different ideas and get the time to do them. But I want to make this show a weekly thing. Let's just see where it goes with it. But that being said, thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for still being here after I've been gone for so long. So yeah, till next time, Godspeed.